What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down why on earth we did see the market move the way it did, why on earth there is some potential for Tesla to continue to pump a bit. However, when you zoom out of the charts, when you zoom out on SPY and the Nasdaq, there is likely going to be a big reversal coming over the next couple of weeks, maybe as soon as next week. Once I show you guys the charts, they do suggest that's very possible. So I'm going to talk about why on earth the data tells us this, what CPI told us, what's going on with Tesla, and everything you need to know as a Tesla investor based off the price action and what I predict for tomorrow. Now, before I break anything down about Tesla, before I get into any more technical analysis, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 4 days. So check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on to video. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. So looking at Tesla, this thing's up about 0.28% for the day. Overall, pretty okay day, but I want to break down why on earth CPI caused this thing to do something a little bit different from what I predicted. And like I said before, you can't always predict everything perfectly, but what's worth noting is I did predict that Tesla would maybe like gap up a little bit, push up, and then get a big drop as the day went on, and then maybe see a small bounce at the end of the day and close around this 121 area. What ended up happening was we had a tiny gap down. We came down all the way down to about 117, and this was previous resistance becoming support, and then we got a nice bounce from there. So we did get that push up. I did think we could get a slight push up. We didn't get as big of a reversal I had thought, but overall we did close a little bit above my target of like the 121 area. Around 123.5 is where we close, a little bit above that area. So now Tesla is showing more strength than anticipated. The real question is, are we going to continue to pump, or are we going to end up coming down? And that's why I want to break down the numbers that just came out. For the short term, yes, we could pump a little bit more. For the medium term, I don't really think so. I'm going to show you exactly why. So looking at the numbers, okay, CPI was 6.5%, meeting expectations. Core CPI was 5.7%, meeting expectations. But the data that came out that most people did not pay attention to is the initial jobless claims. And the actual number was 205,000. That's actually lower than the forecast, lower than the consensus, lower than expectations, and lower than the previous report. What does this mean? This means the jobs market was a little bit stronger than what we want it to be. All this data tells me is, yes, inflation is likely on a downtrend. It's coming down. That's good. But we're nowhere near done. It's still high. We can't be used to these numbers. We have to remain uncomfortable because we're almost at 7% inflation still. We're almost at 6% core inflation still. That's still too high. And we're still very far from the Fed's goal of 2%. All this tells me is, look, we're likely going to see the market continue to, maybe it holds up, but the Fed is likely not going to let that happen forever. The Fed is likely going to start coming out a lot more hawkish, and they have no confirmed date for the Fed pivot, and they don't plan on cutting rates this year as of right now. I have to remind you guys about that because many of the Fed speakers actually said this over the last few weeks. So they're likely not going to be cutting rates. I want to note that. And I think the Fed is likely going to be very hawkish for February, and they don't want the market to pump too much. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think as we approach FOMC, there will be a big reversal in the markets, and we could even start to reverse sooner. Once I show you the charts, it will make lots of sense. Let me just quickly go over the data just real quick for the next few minutes. Month over month, we saw all items kind of go down a bit. We saw CPI come down a little bit, so did core. However, I want to note that fuel played a big role in the CPI coming down. We actually saw fuel oil come down quite a bit. And then we also saw used cars and trucks come down a little bit, but we did see shelter go up a bit compared to November. So that's very important to note. Not everything is coming down the way we want it to. There's still lots of work to be done, but overall, the trend is still in the right path. I would say that, but the numbers are still high. There's still lots of work to be done. For Tesla, we have some good news, and that's the fact that the price pairs ratio is starting to show some signs of a potential bounce. Looks like it might try to push up a little bit more from here. If that's what Tesla ends up doing, it could actually outperform the market at least somewhat. But once you see the charts, I don't expect this to last forever. I also want to note that on Fridays, Tesla's green historically about 48% of the time. That does not mean that we're not going to be green, but I do believe that it's worth noting, just for some historical data, Fridays are not always the best days. Excuse me, sorry guys. And then for SPY, for tomorrow, we have a 1.96 put to call ratio. That incentivizes market makers to hold these levels, maybe even push the market up a little bit. I don't know for sure, but I do believe that I have a target for where the peak is on SPY, and I think we're getting close to it. I'm going to show you that target in just a few minutes once I hop into the charts. And finally, for Elon Musk, I just wanted to note something. He just broke a personal wealth loss world record. I don't know why this was just invented. Maybe they invented this just to get at Elon Musk. Who knows? But to Elon Musk, congratulations on your world record. And you're getting lots of attention for it. But at the end of the day, wait till he gains the money back. He'll break another world record. So, anyways, guys, that was just a joke, but it was pretty funny. And I just wanted to note the fact that that actually exists. There are many different ways people are actually trying to get at Elon Musk from every little corner. Now, let's talk about the charts. Right now, on the hourly, Tesla looks like we have been respecting, or we're starting to respect, a rising wedge like pattern. Now, I can't guarantee that this will play out. We barely saw the bounce today, but there is a good chance this thing could continue to pump just a little bit before the big reversal. Now, when it comes to the big reversal, I want to show you guys something very important on the markets, which signal there is a chance the markets are going to reverse quite soon. Now, when you look at the daily on SPY, we have confirmation of what I mentioned yesterday, and that is the daily RSI is forming a hidden bearish divergence. This means that if you look at the RSI back in mid-December, when we actually hit 408, the RSI was around 58, 57 point something. Now the RSI is at 59, but we're barely at 397 almost. Also, this candle on the daily chart is often a signal for reversals. Not a guarantee though, not a guarantee just yet. But my target on SPY for the peak, the top, is 398 to 402, somewhere between there. We did hit 398.5 today, so there is a chance we already saw the top and we could start coming down, or we might push up a little bit more, maybe try to hold these higher levels for another day or a couple of trading days before we start to come down. I think that's very likely, in my honest opinion. But I want to show you guys something else that's playing out. If I hide my drawings and look at the daily chart on SPY, you could also notice that we have a potential head and shoulders forming. We have the left shoulder right here, the head right here, and then the right shoulder right here. So I do believe that this will likely lead to downside in the market relatively soon. I just don't know the exact timing, but I do believe it's going to come soon. I also believe that after FOMC February 1st, there's going to be a more violent sell-off in the markets. That's just my opinion, guys. And I'm saying this because of what I just told you about the Fed, what the Fed officials are saying, what CPI is still suggesting, as it is relatively high, and also the jobs market, which is stronger than what the market wants it to be. Now, I also want to break down something else that's important. That's the fact that on SPY, I think we could push up a little bit more, just a little bit more before we get another reversal, or we might just start coming down or slowly reversing from here. Either way, I do believe that's likely to happen. For the Nasdaq, we have another formation that's very interesting. I actually drew out another head and shoulders like formation that's forming. So we had the left shoulder potentially forming right here around October to November time, the head right here, and now it looks like we're getting ready to form the right shoulder. But if you notice anything, the Nasdaq has been underperforming relative to SPY. That's not the best of signs for a pump in the market, which shows us that big money, smart money, they're not as confident in the markets. Tech is not leading this pump to the upside. That's why it's very important to note that. So this tells me we could have a small pump. We could see the Nasdaq up another, I don't know, 1.2, 1.5%. Maybe it pushes up just another couple of days, maybe for another week to form this right shoulder, just a little bit more before this thing starts to descend and before it starts to come down a little bit until FOMC comes, and then we could see this get rug pulled pretty hard. This is just what the chart is telling me, what this suggests. This is what the technicals are suggesting, so it seems very likely. I'm not guaranteeing this though, right? No formation is 100% guaranteed. It's just a possibility, but I do believe that this is very likely to play out. I also want to note on the VIX, I predicted yesterday that if the market did like get a gap up or even like a push up, we would fill this gap on the VIX. The gap would be around this almost 19 level. Notice how the VIX did not just fill the gap, we broke below 19, which is a sign that look, the VIX is coming to a very low level. And before, when the VIX would hit these levels, like 18, 19, 20, we would see these big bounces. 18.45 big bounce led to the June crash. Right here on after the August run up, we saw the VIX at 19, big push up that led to the next big drop as we approach like September. Now the VIX is at a very critical demand zone, if you want to use that word. I think this thing could bounce very soon. Maybe 18.45, maybe it hits 18, who knows? But I don't see it dropping much harder than this. Look at the daily candle, it's down 10%, 11% for the day. That's crazy. So I believe this is going to come down maybe a little more, and then soon it's going to bounce. It's going to start pushing up dramatically. Over the next few weeks, I expect it to start rallying to the upside. And that's going to be correlated with the market coming down relatively soon. For Apple, let's see what we're seeing on Apple. Apple's pushing up. It's actually it just barely closed kind of red. I think we had a very interesting formation on it. I think it's going to be very similar to that of SPY. It either found its top or it might push up just a little bit more before this thing gets ready to start coming down. We might have a 5 count Elliott wave sequence on it. So anyways, guys, I've been talking too much about the other charts. Let me just quickly go over the QQQ. Then I'm going to get on with Tesla. We actually hit 280 on the QQQ. Very interesting to see. Could that be the top? Maybe. But could we push a little bit higher? I mean, it is possible. We do have a gap all the way up here. Could we get to gap resistance? It is still possible, but I do believe that this thing is getting ready to start testing these levels, or it might start to reverse relatively soon. I'd still be very careful. What could be forming is a possible head and shoulders for a potential reversal. We might see this thing come down a bit, then push up to form the right shoulder, and then start coming down. We'll just have to wait and see. My thesis is we either saw the top today, or we might push up a little bit more and form the top. That's what I believe is likely to come. The dollar index, once again, very, very low. It's going to bounce very hard soon, probably over the next few months. I believe that's likely going to happen as the Fed tightens more, because it would be risky if the Fed doesn't. If the Fed starts to pivot too soon, it's not going to be good for the dollar. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this thing is going to start bouncing soon. The Fed is still going to be strict. Once that happens, the market should tank, in my opinion. When? Over the next few weeks, few months, I could definitely see that happen. A 10-year Treasury yield. Okay, this is also pretty much coming down pretty hard. It's coming to a very critical level. Could it bounce after filling this gap? It definitely could, and it did form the same formation I had thought. So anyways, enough about the charts. I know I went on a bit of a tangent on that. Let's talk about Tesla. I mentioned to everyone the market might pump a little bit more, especially the Nasdaq. And if Tesla could pump, it has to break this resistance zone. We got to break around this 125 to 126 ish level right here. If we could break this, I could see Tesla push up a little bit harder, guys. We might be able to see Tesla approach 130 if this rising wedge is respected. Now, if we break out of this tomorrow or the day after, if you see Tesla tank and it can't hold this like 122, 121 level, then that's going to be a bearish signal. It could even happen in one day, but as of right now, it's not confirmed. All right, so that's why you have to watch this very carefully. I would go on like the hourly, for example. You can even do this on the 30-minute or 10-minute. Look at this chart, draw out your rising wedge, and see if Tesla could respect this. I believe it's going to try. We might come down a little bit tomorrow morning, maybe touch 122. If the market bounces one last time, my target on SPY, I think I forgot to mention this. My target on SPY is I'm sorry, not one, 398 to 402. Once again, 398 to 402. Somewhere there, I expect that to be the top. That's just my prediction. I think that's very likely to be the top. And whether we already saw it or not, I don't know. I think we could push up a little more. But once we hit the descending broadening wedge resistance, we could start to see this come down. This very important resistance line right here. Once we hit that line, the very big blue line you're seeing, we could see a big rejection on SPY in the whole market. We could see the market slow down. And we're actually very close to testing that line, right? So my point is, for Tesla, we could actually see Tesla push up a little bit more. If we do continue to respect this rising wedge, we can see Tesla push up. It has to break this like 125 to 126 zone. If it breaks it, I could see 128 to 130. Tesla could be on its way to 130 for like maybe Monday or Tuesday. Not Monday, Tuesday of next week, because the market's going to be closed for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So maybe by Tuesday, we could see 130 on Tesla before a big reversal to the downside and this thing starts to cool off. It is still very possible. It also depends on the news. I don't know exactly what the news will tell us, but I do predict we're going to likely continue to respect this trend. So maybe Tesla comes down here. Will Tesla break out of this to the downside? If that happens, it's going to be a bearish signal. I don't know for sure how much gas the market has left, but I do believe we're getting closer to the final top. Tesla's going to test this zone tomorrow. Hopefully we could break it. Maybe we could. If we do break it, we could see Tesla try to push for 128, maybe close around there. And then maybe by next week, we could see like 130 or so. But then very soon, I do believe sometime next week, maybe by the later days of next week, there's going to be a reversal and Tesla's going to start coming down. The Nasdaq's going to start coming down. So is SPY. I believe it's coming closer and closer as time goes on. Earnings is also going to be very important, so don't forget about that. But that is basically what I see coming in the market. So thank you all for listening. Please have a great rest of the day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and watch this chart, this formation on Tesla. Let's see if it respects this. If it breaks out of this, it's going to be a bearish signal. If it does continue to respect it, it has potential to push to 128 to 130. All right. Also watch 125 to 126. This zone right here has some strong resistance. If we break it, we could see this thing fly to 128 to 130. With that said, thank you all so much for listening. If this thing breaks below 121 tomorrow, then this thing could start crashing down to 117. Just hypothetically, I don't think that's going to happen. I like to be optimistic, but I just wanted to put that out there. Anyways, thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. And peace out.